afternoon and welcome back to Cape Town, South Africa. We're here for the IFSC-Africa 2020 Championship. Women's finals happening today. And we have finished with speed, finished with boulder. We're moving on to the lead. In front of you, you can see the lead route. Joining me today in the commentary box is KP, Katlego Pobi, competitor from yesterday, and one of South Africa's strong lead climbers. And I've got him joining me today to give his 10 cents about how the girls are doing on the lead wall. KP, welcome to the commentary box.
Thank you so much for having me, Alistair. I'm excited to see what the girls have for us today. See what the route setters have in store for them.
KP, you've had a little look at the routes already. What do you think about it?
I think it looks really great. I think we might see maybe one or two tops from the ladies. The route setters have done a pretty great job. I think we're going to see most of the ladies getting pretty high on the route.
Yeah, as you can see on your screen, lots of jugs at the start of the route, just making sure that everybody gets off the ground, hopefully. And they're going through there's a horizontal roof, little overhanging section, and then the final head wall to the top. Willem, one of the cameramen, that was his leg you saw there. You can see the top section really crimpy and we are underway. Credo Casimiri from Uganda, first out and onto the wall. Moving quite nicely up through those jugs and making the first clip over there. Belay just giving a spot at the start. Up into the second quick draw. Quick draws are those clips that you see on the wall, and as the climbers progress, they clip the rope through those. Should they fall, they'll fall below that point until the rope goes tight, and the belayer, the person on the ground that holds the rope, catches them. KP, lead-in competition is quite a stressful thing. You have a lot of different aspects to manage. You know, how do you focus on climbing on the route and not worrying about fear or the danger of being high on a climbing route?
I think for me the main thing is about enjoying being on the climb. Focusing more on the climb and less on the crowd and less on the actual how far you are from your draw, how far you are from the floor. It's just about enjoying every move and like creating art on the wall with your body, I think. Yeah.
For those of you that don't know and didn't watch yesterday, KP is one of our more aesthetic climbers. Really moves his body well on the wall and really makes the best out of his incredible technique repertoire that he has. Credo now a little higher on the wall. Should be looking to get some feet a little bit higher there. Bring her body up into that next hold. Credo is one of the few lead climbers in her country, and as a result spends a lot of time training on top rope. So lead climbing is, for those of you that aren't familiar, quite intimidating if you're not used to it. Doing really well here so far, and she's just coming up to the roof, the horizontal section of this route, clipping a long quick draw. And the route setters will put a long quick draw here just to help with the rope drag that climbers sometimes struggle with when routes change angle or change direction. She manages to get that draw clipped.
So as she's making her way into the roof now, this is where the route really starts to kick in. So you'll see most climbers will come at the route with a different strategy, choosing to, and there we lose Credo as she's starting to make her way through the roof. We'll see most athletes trying to climb their way quickly through this beginning section just to make sure that they don't get too pumped towards the end. Also, we'll see some maybe even choosing to go slower, making sure they don't make any mistakes.
For those of you that aren't familiar with how the scoring works in lead, each hold is given a number by the route setters, and as athletes, climbers progress up the wall, that number is recorded on the score sheet, and the higher they get on the wall, the better their score is. Should two athletes get to the same hold, athletes might be awarded a plus for moving off that hold. But if they do get to the same hold and neither of them get a plus, then it'll come down to time, who got there the quickest. So the goal of this is to get as high as you can, as quickly as you can. Should two climbers get to the top, they'll be separated based on the time it took them to get there. Up next, Caitlin Burwood, South African climber from KwaZulu-Natal, lives in Durban. Her hardest lead send is a 23, so this route might be a little challenging for her. See how she does in the lower section. You can see Caitlin wearing a helmet. KP, ever climb in a helmet?
I used to climb in a helmet when I was a lot younger, when I was in preparatory school. So it was a rule back then that at my school specifically that some of the children had to wear masks for safety reasons. At KZN, I know that it is a rule that all athletes under the age of 18 have to wear. And yeah, it's a personal choice really for most climbers. Depends on how safe you feel on the wall. In the gym, it's usually pretty safe enough, but anything to help you with that confidence, especially in lead.
Thanks, KP. Yeah, moving confidently on the wall is really a way to save energy and one of the more efficient ways to move while climbing, and anything that adds a little bit of confidence to a climber definitely can't be bad. Caitlin going up to clip that long quick draw hanging from the roof, and we'll see how she does going into this overhanging steep section of the route. For this section, climbers will be essentially climbing on the ceiling, hanging upside down, using their hands and feet to hold their body onto the wall. The rope is just there to catch them should they fall off. Caitlin just taking a moment to have a rest here before she gets into the more intense, harder section. You can see her fingertips wrapping around that slopey hold on the volume. Standing up into an undercling. Caitlin committing to some higher holds here. Quite hard to tell from this angle, but this section of the wall is pretty much horizontal. That means lots of energy and strength will be required from the climbers to not fall off here.
Let's go, Caitlin. Come on, girl. Come on. All right, Caitlin. Let's go. Come on. Nice and strong. Yeah.
Caitlin moving well through the holds and the volumes, cutting her feet and managing to get them back on, adding a toe onto the volume that her hands are on. Getting a little bit of chalk and making the next clip before she heads out of the roof and onto the overhanging head wall just before the top. Caitlin really using some power to hang on to those holds upside down, a lot of weight on her hands there.
We see her taking quite a few rests in this overhang, which is not really a very smart thing to do. You want to move through the most difficult part really quickly so that you don't waste energy for the top. Climbing at that angle is quite taxing on the body, and it zaps your energy away. So you want to climb through it quickly and rest, minimize your rest, and absolutely capitalize on them after and before you go through those harder sections.
Caitlin just coming around onto the lip of the overhanging section here. Deciding she's not quite high enough to clip that next draw yet. Big move and just not managing to stick it before falling off. Caitlin Burwood from South Africa. Done with climbing for today. She's done the best she can. Just struggling a little bit to untie the knot in the rope there. In normal competitions, the venue and the organizing committee will provide ropes, but due to the coronavirus, each athlete has to bring their own rope, just to minimize that contact between athletes and officials. Siobhan, one of the belayers there, just helping her untie that figure of 8. Ken Jennings, next belayer on the line, belaying Danielle Visser. She did quite well in the boulders. One top. Still wearing a mask as she comes out of the isolation zone. You can see the 6 minutes on the clock there. Climbers have 45 seconds to double check the route before their 6 minutes starts. Once they're on the wall, 6 minutes to get to the top. KP, this route's quite a bit shorter than other routes that we've seen in other competitions. Do you think any of the competitors will use their 6 minutes?
I highly doubt it. I think the competitors we expect to see at the top are going to be climbing really strongly and confidently throughout the whole climb, making it to the top quite fairly quickly. The climb in itself, the moves aren't that difficult, and it's pretty simple to read and to understand. So I'm sure that the ladies will make it through with enough time to spare.
So that 6 minutes is quite generous, and it's not often that climbers do run out of time. But on a route like this where there are lots of good holds, it is tempting to take a lot of time and really use those rests to your advantage. One of the tricks of that is not resting too long and running out of time higher up on the route. Danielle's been moving really well up this first section. She's looking to clip that first long draw. Signals the end of the vertical section and the start of the steeper section through the roof here. For those who aren't familiar with the combined format, this is the third discipline these girls are climbing in today. They've already done speed earlier this afternoon and some bouldering. And how the scoring works is the ranking of each competitor in those disciplines is multiplied together to give them a point value. So if you come first and first, you'll have 1 point. One of the other competitors, Erin, is in that position. Danielle has come 7th and 6th so far. She has 42 points. She's hoping to do well in this one and not get many more points. Throwing her glasses to the crowd, deciding she can see well enough without them. Getting a nice left heel there, deciding that's not the way. You can see she's been hanging in this section for a while now. These rests can become a bit of a trap. It's tempting to stay where you are, but you do need to move out of them and continue climbing, which she does now.
Unlike a discipline like bouldering, with lead you have to be confident from the get-go. You have in order to save energy and to move efficiently through, you have to quickly make up your mind and move on. Even if you choose the worst way of doing it, the best thing to do is always to move on quickly, as fast as you can. So we saw her earlier just messing around a bit with her feet, not really sure what to do. So such small things like that really do just zap some of your energy away, especially in an overhang like this. So we really hope to see her moving through just a bit faster now and a bit more confidently, especially now that she's about to make it just over the slip here.
Now as she's coming over the slip, the climbing gets a little bit harder. Throughout the route, the climbing gets progressively harder and harder. The route setters obviously don't want everyone to get to the top. They want 1 or 2 to get to the top and a few to fall lower down, pulling up quite a bit of slack to make that big clip. That serves her well now. She can move into the next section. This is the hold that Caitlin fell going for. Danielle almost falling off there, but managing to catch it. Looks like she's not quite sure what to do once she has her right hand on hold 32. She falls just going into it. But she will be awarded the highest hold that she held, 32. You can see the belay just giving out some extra slack and coming to untie for her. Looks like there's some... Looks like the rope might be stuck a little higher on the wall. Up next we have Alyssa Meyer. Currently ranked 4th in South Africa. And so far 6th in the rankings for this competition. She's come 5th in speed, 5th in boulder. She has 25 points. There's the head route setter Jan just going up to see what's happening. Looks like the rope's been pinched somewhere along the route there. That's actually not the quick draw where the rope is stuck. Looks like it might be stuck a little bit lower down. You can see the rope just running next to it, and now it's been untangled. Big cheers for the route setters as they untangle the rope and the competition can continue. Up next on the wall we have Alyssa Meyer from the Western Cape in South Africa. She was about to climb when the rope got stuck, and now she's on the wall. Alyssa moving nicely up on those jugs there. Can see Alyssa moving quite nice and confidently through this first section.
So usually when routes start off easier and then building in intensity, it really helps just to get a good rhythm going and a good flow going when you start climbing. It really helps you set up mentally and physically for the end and the top, where you're really fighting for the top, for the finish.
For those that were watching on Thursday, this route is slightly different in nature to the lead route the girls were doing on Thursday. Thursday's route was quite overhanging. This one vertical at the start, horizontal in the middle, overhanging again at the head wall. Alyssa reaching the rest just before the route kicks back into the roof. Alyssa just taking a moment here to really try get some energy and blood back into her forearms. Forearms are one of the prime muscles in lead climbing, an event that focuses on endurance, the ability to push a little bit harder and reach one hold further. Each hold, of course, being more important than the last, the higher you get on the route. So she's really hanging her arm straight there, and the arm that she's using on the hold is straight as well, in an effort to relax as many muscles as possible while still hanging onto the wall. Once she heads into this more horizontal section, her forearms will start screaming at her. Condition known to climbers as pump. Using her mouth just to hold the rope to make it easier to clip the next draw.
So we've seen pretty much all the ladies taking about a good minute to climb that first section before making their way onto the roof. Alyssa did really well to take some time and rest before going up into this harder section. I think she spent almost a full minute just shaking out. She did one move up and then continue to shake out and just resting and getting herself ready, preparing herself mentally and physically for this next section.
Yeah, this section through the roof here, you can see she's hanging upside down, hands and feet on the same hold there as she matches the heel to her hand. Trying something different instead. The toe hook gets into a stable position to clip. Sometimes in a roof like this, it can be quite tricky to know where to put your hands and your feet. Sometimes the route setters will put a foot first sequence. Doesn't seem like they've done that here. Alyssa still just going really slowly and steadily through this section, getting her feet into a good position to hold the weight of her body and take some weight off her hand. You can see the quick draw there hanging just in front of her knee. And climbers can get themselves into an illegitimate position if they climb too high past a quick draw. They'll be called off and their score recorded as the last hold they were holding while in a legitimate position. Legitimate position being the position that the climber can still clip the quick draw from. Once the judges have deemed they've gone too high, they're in an illegitimate position and will be called off. You can see Alyssa wrapping that volume with both her legs, squeezing her heels together to take some weight off her hands. Yeah, you can see the angle of the wall that she's about to get into. So just struggling to reach the next hold on that volume. Really good right hand, but due to the bunched up nature of her legs, it's quite hard to generate the power to get into that next hold.
One thing that's important when reading routes is to make sure you make a mental note of the places where you need to climb. There we are losing Alyssa, just slightly below where we lost Danny and Caitlin. When you're reading the route, you want to make sure you know all the areas where it's okay to take it easy, all the places where you need to climb a bit faster, all the places where you're going to slow down your resting positions, and the places where you're really just going to need to like grind your teeth and just pull. And then when you're climbing it, you just have to keep that in mind. And be okay with changing what you already what you had planned. I think one thing that's so beautiful about lead climbing is about learning on the spot and moving and learning to think on the spot as well.
Something about lead is that you really can't afford to make a big mistake that'll pull you off the wall. In bouldering, you have the time as the limiting factor and as many attempts as you can give in that time. With lead, once you fall off, there's no second chance. So the route setters will sometimes put in a risky move. Not risky in terms of danger to the athlete, but risky in terms of quite an easy move to fall off of. Up next, Catherine Honegger, currently in 3rd place in the rankings. My apologies, currently in 4th place in the rankings. Tegan Oates in 3rd place. Catherine, 2nd in speed, 7th in boulder. Lead, one of her stronger disciplines. Let's see how she does. You can see her just taking a bit of those 45 seconds that she has, working through the routes again in her mind. Like KP said, just confirming where she's going to be climbing, where she's going to be resting. The ladies that have already climbed in the background, they've done all they can in this competition, so they get to watch their compatriots on the lead. Catherine moving really nicely through this section. KP, what do you think? She's flowing really well?
Moving strongly and confidently. She's also moving very quickly. I think she's planning, she knows that she can get really high on this, and she just doesn't want to get pumped out too quickly.
And also doesn't want to waste some time in the section if she ends up in a tie with another climber. She wants to be the person who got to that hold first. That'll give her an advantage in the rankings and put her ahead. Catherine with a little bit of banter. While these competitions are serious, climbing is an incredible sport, lots of fun. And being in a space where you're having fun on the wall is definitely an advantage. Allows you to flow through the route, not stress too much, and climbers that are relaxed traditionally do better. KP, do you have any tips for staying relaxed on the wall?
A big thing for me is understanding that that when I step into the competition area, that I can't do anything more to prepare for it. That everything that I have, like trying to understand that it's enough for me and I have to work with what I have. So the best way for me to do that is just get up onto the wall and have fun. Even if I can't do it, if I'm not strong enough to do the first move, or I fall off like on a boulder and I keep falling off at the zone. Just as long as I keep as long as I keep in mind that I have prepared enough and that's all I can do. I think that really helps me have fun and enjoy it. And we can see Catherine here moving so confidently through this roof, making her way really quickly, not stopping to rest much. She did just before coming into the roof. And now she's coming up to this section, just this next move. This is where we lost Alyssa. And then in the next two moves, that will be the high point where Danny and Caitlin are leading.
Yeah, Catherine's doing really well, yeah. Not wasting too much energy in the roof trying to rest. She's clipping just there off hold 31. She'll be looking to move to hold 32. And if she hits hold 33, and that'll put her on the high point for this competition so far. She doesn't know this, of course, having not seen any of the other competitors climb. Manages to clip the quick draw nicely from that good hold. All that's left is the more vertical but still overhanging head wall. Lots of small holds. She's moving off of the good holds. In a second she'll be on the smaller crimps. Just really struggling to connect with that one and falling off. Catherine with the high point so far. Women's lead here at IFSC-Africa Championships here in Cape Town. I'm Alistair Fenton. With me in the lead commentating booth is Katleho, KP. And now we can see Catherine seems to be stuck. Similar situation to what we had before where the rope got stuck. Catherine just taking a moment to have some fun with it. Catherine has a gymnastics and cheerleading background. Used to being flipped upside down, giving a wave to the crowd.
One thing with Catherine, she's not an experienced comp climber like some of the other ladies we have here. So you can see her just taking it a little bit more easier than them. She's not as hard on herself as the other ladies are. And I guess it's because she has lower expectations for herself, and she's already doing fantastically in the comp.
Catherine's actually spent quite a bit of time competing, but often just for fun.
Well, she hasn't been competing as seriously as the other ladies, so
I think the audience is picking up what you're putting down there, KP. Up next, Tegan Oates, Gauteng-based South African climber. Catherine just getting a bit of help with her knot there. Doing some reverse boinking. Boinking is a technique used by climbers to get higher up on the wall. In this case, she's trying to get lower on the wall, back to the ground. She's done with her time climbing for today. Catherine, affectionately known as Cat, with her cat in the hat chalk bag. Just being directed by one of the officials back to put her face mask on. Of course, COVID-19 is a serious situation all around the world. We have it here in South Africa, and Organisers are doing everything they can to reduce the spread of the virus. Head route setter Jan going up again, seeing if he can figure out what the problem is. The route setters do a lot of forerunning, making sure that the route is climbable and of a good standard to get a good split between the different athletes. Every now and then something slips through the system. Tegan Oates, next competitor, waiting. She doesn't know why. Having a little bit of a jam there. Yeah. Jan with some aiding again up the route. So for those of you that are just tuning in, this is the combined Olympic qualifier. That is, athletes are competing in 3 disciplines. Lead, which is busy happening now. Speed, which happened this morning / this afternoon. And bouldering, which if you were tuned in earlier you would have seen. Can get a good idea of how steep that route is. Cape Town, where this event is happening, affectionately called the Mother City of South Africa. Jan getting an opportunity none of the competitors get, a second attempt. And from what he's doing there, it would appear that the rope is getting pinched between the mailon holding that quick draw onto the hanger. The mailon is that silver ring with the black tape around it. The hanger, that plate that's attached to the wall. Jan in competition mode. Jan going a bit higher to clip the next quick draw and see if you can figure out where the rope keeps getting pinched. There's the crowd and some of the competitors that have already climbed. Can see some of the officials, camera crew, the lucky few that have been allowed into the venue for today. Jan heading back to the ground, Hopefully this time his work will be sufficient. One of the sponsors of this event, the Western Cape government. Really nice to see some official involvement from the South African bureaucracy. Climbing being a very small sport in our country, but it is growing as it's been growing around the world. Those of you watching surely know that climbing is in the Olympics for the first time, and this lady, Tegan Oates, is hoping to qualify. Just confirming with the judges that she can have a look at the wall and start climbing. All smiles. Tegan, hailing from the northern part of the country, much more comfortable on lead. Spends a lot of time climbing on lead outside. Waterfall Boven in Mpumalanga, one of our provinces. Tegan moving really nicely up this first vertical section, keeping her hips close to the wall in an effort to keep the weight over her feet, taking some of the weight off her hands and creating less work for her, the muscles in her forearms to be doing, hoping to delay the onset of pump. Pump, as we mentioned earlier, the burning sensation you feel in your arms when you've been climbing for long enough. Your arms would say it's too long, but your mind says no arms, one more hold, I need one more hold. Tegan's hoping to go one more hold till she gets to the top. Not taking too long to rest in that position. Carrying straight through into the roof.
You can see her moving really fast and confidently through this overhang section. Just sussing out how far that draw is. The first person to be clipping this draw from here, right?
I think so, yes. Tegan, one of the taller competitors in the field, yeah, really making use of her height to clip from a more efficient position. Shifting her hand to make space for her foot there. Camming her big toe against the roof.
Very good and efficient climbing from Tegan here. You can see her really using her legs to help take as much weight as possible off those hands of hers. Clipping confidently and smooth. You really want to be sure when you're heading for a lead. There's nothing making that move look so easy, my goodness. There's nothing more frustrating than being stuck on the crux of a lead route and not being and fiddling with a draw. So you want to make sure that your clips are strong and confident just as well as your climbing is strong and confident.
Tegan moving up to the highest hold we've seen so far on the wall. Managing to get one hold higher. This puts her in the lead so far in this lead portion of the competition. Tegan, really, you can see the elbow starting to rise as she gets a little bit pumped into the final volume on the head wall of the lead route. Tegan just managing to get the rope around there in an effort to clip that draw. Her leg in a slightly dangerous position here behind the rope. Taking a moment and she should correct it, which she does. Tegan just not managing to latch that hold, and if she'd hit that, possibly would have gone to the top. Tegan really smiling there. She did really well on that climb.
So some really fantastic work from Tegan there. You can really see how her climbing from the get-go really helped propel her to the top there. Then as she's making her way onto that face at the top, with the change of angle, as the angle eases off a bit and the holes get smaller, you see her climbing just slightly slower, making sure that she's got everything right and perfect. And I think that's the most confident we've seen anyone really climb through that overhang section, which is some really great work from her.
Up next, Georgie Dorwood. Spent some time climbing in the New River Gorge. Those familiar with Jonathan Segrest, spent some time climbing with him. And let's see how she does on this lead portion of the competition. She's done really well in speed and in boulder, placing 4th in the speed and 2nd in the boulder, currently putting her in 2nd place in this competition with 8 points. Person she has to beat, Erin, has to fall really low on the wall for Georgie to win, but Georgie's hoping to put in a really strong performance here. Georgie just getting some chalk and scoping out the route before she starts climbing. Doesn't need too much time and she's into it straight away. Can see one of the camera guys there that have been providing you with quality footage throughout this competition. Georgie going for the double tap, clipping 2 quick draws from the same hold. Good way to save energy and be a little bit more efficient there. Getting a little bit of chalk before she gets into the higher holds. Georgie looking quite confident here. Can see Georgie just sinking back down into a more comfortable rest position here. Haven't seen that from any of the other competitors yet. Not hanging around too long, making sure she doesn't run out of time, but with 5 minutes on the clock, I don't think that'll be an issue for her.
Yeah, Georgie choosing not to take much of a rest before the overhang there. So she did just climb through some of the bigger holes, so she probably just doesn't feel it necessary. She doesn't feel tired enough to take that rest. But she's climbing through the overhang quite confidently and quite fast. There we go, doing that clip a little differently to Tegan, but still from the same position. Let's see how she tackles the rest of this overhang.
Georgie just making sure to put her feet in the right place in relation to the rope. Falling with the rope behind your leg results in getting flipped upside down. And a little bit of rope burn behind the knee or behind the leg. Unpleasant to say the least. Yeah, Georgie resting now in a really good position, squeezing that volume between her 2 heels, using it to take a bit of weight off her hands and really using that good hold to get some energy back. Lead, of course, being all about endurance and making it a little bit higher than your competitors on the wall. Being fresh really gives you the confidence to do some of the bigger moves that sometimes the setters require of you in lead. Georgie looking really solid moving into that big hold. Georgie's hoping that the rest she took a little bit lower down gives her enough endurance, enough power to hold on to those smaller crimps that she knows are coming up. Georgie really strong there with a high heel next to her hand. Looking really good on this top section here. Big moves, confident moves from Georgie. Perhaps not the most efficient, but can tell she's got enough gas in the tank to not be too concerned.
And you can just see it in her eyes. She doesn't look worried at all. Nice and confident, just taking one more breath, just to set up for those last 2 or 3 moves to the top as she sets up for this. Come on, Georgie. One more big move and she's at the top. And that is a top for Georgie.
Georgie would be super happy with that performance. Clipping the top anchor. And those that have climbed at City Rock Cape Town saw the breeze ruffling her hair. Just to her side is a window with a beautiful view of Table Mountain. Georgie's not concerned about that though. She topped the route. That's the best she could have asked for in this competition. Our last competitor, Erin, sitting alone in isolation. She knows she's up next. She knows she has a good chance of topping this route. She knows that if she tops it, she's guaranteed herself a spot in the Olympic Games, Tokyo 2020 in Japan next year. Erin just waiting for the rope to be pulled from the route and for her turn to begin. Erin's a strong sport climber by South African standards. One of the strongest females on sports in the country. Done a few A-days recently. Only sent her first A-day this year. She is still in school. Only 17 years old. And last year she qualified in first position for this competition. Oh, not last year, the beginning of this year, January. Seems like 5 years ago. It's been a long year for these athletes who were hoping to compete in March. It's now December. Erin has more important things to worry about. She's on the wall. Erin moving really quickly up this section of the wall, yeah. Can see this section of the wall dead vertical. Not posing a problem to Erin Sturkenberg, at home on overhanging caves, sport climbing in KwaZulu-Natal. Up on your right, that white patch on the far right of the screen is a big window overlooking the city, the beautiful mother city of South Africa, Cape Town, where this event is happening today. A little bit of a breeze coming through. Erin struggling a teeny bit with that quick draw, but nothing serious. Can see Erin's quite comfortable climbing upside down, moving really confidently through these sections.
So we saw her really steaming through that beginning section, just trying to get it over with as quickly as possible. And then she just took a breather right before the overhang, and then she approached it a little bit slower, just thinking a bit her way through it, making sure that she has everything right, setting up really for the top.
Erin just making sure not to climb too far above that quick draw. One of the few things that would really mess up her chances here would be a mistake. She does well not to make one. Based on where she is on the wall now, safe to say Erin has assured herself I'll wait for the official results before I go that far. Georgie doing really well, yeah. Erin clipping the last draw. Last draw before that big white circle and the top hold. Taking a moment to make sure she has enough energy in the tank. Succeeds on the bump that through Tegan off and latches the top hold. Once she's clipped the rope, she's in. Erin with a top and makes it. Erin Sturkenberg from KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa. Waiting for confirmation from the judges. Those of you on the official app will see that she has scored a top and has scored first place in this competition. First in lead, first in speed, and first in boulder. Erin Sturkenberg with 1 point wins the IFSC African Championships.
I think very good show from her. I think she knew that she definitely knew from the audience's reaction that Georgie topped the route, and I think maybe going through that beginning, especially just a bit faster, just really gave her the confidence to know that maybe she can just climb a little bit faster than Georgie did to secure that first place. She also, she was not slow at all throughout, even in the middle section. She did take a few breaths in between the major sections of the route, but she made sure to move consistently and confidently throughout, and I think that it really paid off, and she did very well with that. So congratulations to Erin.
Yeah, Erin, really well done there. Let's see how she does next year. For those of you at home, thanks for tuning in. So if you hang around for a little while longer, we'll have the official results up for you. KP, thanks so much for your commentary. Been a pleasure sitting with you in the box today.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure to come speak nonsense about what I feel. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
KP Katleho from Gauteng, South African athlete. If you haven't seen him, check him out on the YouTube videos that we posted already on our channel. Chris Nordia, one of the organizers of this competition from Western Cape Climbing. Western Cape is the province that we are in at the moment. The winner of this competition, the lady that will be standing on box number 1, Erin Sturkenberg. Lots of training in her future, I'm sure. She's hoping to hop onto the world stage and show the world what climbing in South Africa is all about. Lots of potential in this young lady. Be interesting to see what she does, both outside as a recreational climber and indoors on plastic as South Africa's top competition climber. Okay, yeah, we have the ladies, first, second and third. Standing there in the background with the white shirts is the Deputy Mayor of the City of Cape Town, Mr. Ian Nielsen. Tegan Oates receiving her medal and prize for coming third in this competition. Standing behind the podium in second place, Georgie Dorwood. There's Graham, the technical official from the IFSC. Graham awarding the second place medal. And now the moment you've all been waiting for. Erin Sturkenberg, winner of the IFSC-Africa 2020 Women's Combined Format Championship. And if all goes according to plan, next year she's going to the Olympics. Taking their masks off for a quick photo. Big smiles all around.